Good to see you, mate.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, a lot's changed obviously over the summer for you as a man. Got married.
Yeah.
You've got your kids as well.
Yeah.
I mean, how has life been at home?
Life's been very, very good for me. Obviously had a beautiful day in the summer. Got to share it, my family, the kids, everyone there. Dani turned up, which I think is the main worry at the time. But yeah, no, it all went well. And yeah, had a good little break away from football, which I think sometimes you need.
Yeah, I was talking to Martin Odegaard last week.
Yeah.
And I said probably the hardest thing for any footballer is thinking about who you've got to invite to the wedding.
Yeah.
Does it get a little bit awkward with some of the other lads? You're like, oh.
A little bit, yeah. Because it's you want one there, but then you look at the others who you get on well with, and then before you know it, you've got a list of about 250 people with partners and stuff. So I had to kind of tame it down a little bit.
Yeah.
I got a big family. Dani's got a big family, so we took up the numbers with our families more than anything. I thought we're going to have to cater for about 500 people here if we invite every single person that we know. But I think we got the balance right.
You got the balance right. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to have to mention it because I interviewed Dani, your wife, earlier on in the week, and she's doing Strictly Come Dancing.
Yeah.
At home, is that all it is? The talk is? Are you practicing at home with her?
No, absolutely. I said to her, my hips aren't, like strictly professional. So I think she had like a taste today or something the other day.
Yeah.
And was coming back full of it and was like, I really want to practice the dances with you. I said, I'm not doing any dance. Like, I will disappoint you because you'll be going into practice with these professionals that are really good at dancing, and then I'll fall well below that criteria for it. But no, she's buzzing to do it. She told me a couple of months ago, and I'm a terrible liar. So, there was rumours and people were going, oh, is she doing Strictly? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it killed me inside because, like I said, me at lying is very, very bad. But, she went on with you a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, she was delighted with it. Yeah. And I think she's excited to get going. And, she's always like, I just want to go and see how well I do. But I know deep down she'll be going, I want to do as well as I can.
Absolutely.
And I think the competitive side of me will be pushing her every way
to
be like, don't you quit early or anything like that. You make sure you go until, enough's enough. But
I like it.
Yeah, she's buzzing for it.
You're going to go into coach mode. I like it.
Yeah.
Now listen, Jarrod, obviously the first game of the season, there's always so much build up to it. I'm sure you and the boys go out there ready for that game. And then the game happens and it's a 3-0 defeat on the road to a newly promoted side.
Yeah.
What was the vibe like after the game?
Obviously disappointing. I think straight after the game there's a lot of emotions involved, but I think more the day after, I watched the game Saturday night when I got back, because I was like, you lose 3-0 and you want to look at it and think, what did we do wrong? What happened? And first half I thought we started really well. We had some really good moments in the game. We had a couple of chances. One got cleared off the line. If that goes in, it's a different game. But we're talking about what if moments. What if this happened? What if and ultimately we end up losing the game 3-0. And I think it was a bit of a lesson, bit of a wake-up call for us that any team in the Premier League, you don't defend well enough or you give up easy things, they're going to punish you. And they punished us with 3 goals. And before you know it, you're in a position where you feel like, okay, away from home, newly promoted side, the atmosphere is going to be a difficult place. I thought we managed it really well. And then before you know it, it's 3-0 and you're facing the questions of how did we lose 3-0? But ultimately we did. But I think in a way, when you lose the first game of the season, there's a long way to the season's not kind of done in, after game week 1, there's 37 more games to go. And, those little wake-up calls happening early in the season sometimes can be good because it, can wake everyone up to realise that this is a Premier League, this is the level. And we have a game on Friday, which is at home, which we know we can create an atmosphere at home against, a side against Chelsea who are coming off the back of winning 2 trophies last season in a really good place. But we feel like we're in a good place.
Do you take it on quite personally? Do you always do that after a defeat? Do you always go back, watch the game? But then obviously as captain, you feel like you'll have this responsibility.
Yeah, I always, when we win, I watch little bits. Or if I know that we've done well in a game, I'll watch a little bit, but not as much. But when we've lost or I feel like we haven't done well, I'll always watch the game from start to finish and just, I've got a little app on the iPad that the analysts put different kind of stuff on. But the other day I was strictly just watching the whole game and was just writing a few things down, and because I just wanted to see it away from, we do meetings in here and stuff, but you're in, all the play. I just wanted to watch it on my own and just.
Almost like a fan, almost like just
yeah, almost like a fan, but almost
it,
just like a learning point as well,
yeah.
and just seeing what I did, what I could have improved on, what I feel like we could have done differently as a team. Because when I speak to the manager, whether it be on a Sunday or a Monday, and speaking about the game and what we think, I know that I've watched the game, and I've got something to go back on to say, I think we've done this well, I don't think we've done this well, and just speak with the manager about that. But yeah, I always try and watch the games to help me and to help the team.
How do losses affect you personally? Like when you come home, is it like if you have a dinner plan or something like that, is it like, no, cancel it?
I actually got a funny story. So we played Fulham away, I don't know if it was last season or season before. We had Winter Wonderland booked, so my mates came down from back home, my brother came down from back home. I was excited to play the game. When you have a game and you've got something planned, you're thinking I just want this to be a good day. Yeah. And we lost 5-0 to Fulham. I thought, there is not a chance I'm going. So that just kind of killed the whole thing, yeah. But I think once the game's done, depending on obviously on the weekend I was fuming, because I just hate losing. I hate losing in training. I hate losing anything. Be playing a game with the kids at home, and if they beat me, and I'm fuming with that. But I think then once I get home, it's dad mode, it's family mode. I don't want to take that negativity, that disappointment into them, because the time you spend with them is so precious, I think, and it's our home, our bubble, where I want it to be the best environment for them. I don't want to be bringing my negativity after a game, so I try and get all that out of the way. If it's an away game, we might fly back or we might be on the bus, so then is my time to be fuming for a couple of hours, because ultimately you can't change it. When you go home, you can't change what's happened, you can't change the result. For me, it's just I just be disappointed, and then I look forward to training the next day to try and put it right. Yeah,
you mentioned the manager a moment ago, obviously coming in at the beginning of the year. What's that relationship been like for you as captain with your manager? How much interaction is there between just the two of you?
Yeah, no, we speak a lot. I remember when he first came in, I was injured, so I was trying to, he's an experienced manager, but when you come in halfway through the season, and I know the players more than the manager does, it was, I was that middle point to help the manager with different conversations and stuff, and sit in on different meetings, even though I wasn't in the team, because I was injured. I was still in and around, just to try and be that voice and try and be that middle ground almost. But I get on really well with the manager. We have good conversations, we have honest conversations, and I think that's the best thing if you want to be the best team and improve. I think you've got to have those conversations with the managers one-to-one, and like I said about watching the games and stuff, I can then go to him and I know I can say to him what I thought we'd done wrong, without him being offended by it, because he would say exactly the same to me. And I think it's good that we've got that relationship to speak to each other and be open, because ultimately we want the best from this whole team.
Yeah, we saw there was an interview with Karen Brady, and she recently came out and she said, West Ham, we don't panic with our managers. I guess, how does that make you feel as a player for West Ham? What does the dressing room feel about that? It must feel quite nice to know that there is that backing.
Yeah, no, and I think in America we spent, Karen came out there I think was out there for 2 weeks, and she spent a lot of time with the squad and saw the togetherness that we've got as a squad, see how the manager is with us and how he manages the group and what we're trying to create here in terms of an environment which will help us, ultimately on the pitch. But, I know everyone gets on really well with a manager. I think, sometimes you go through these difficult moments as a team. Everyone wants it to be, you want to win every week. Every team does, but not even the top teams can do that. You always have to go through those difficult periods, and I think everyone in this thing, in the change room, wants the same thing. And we know when we go through those difficult times, like we've done on Saturday, we've gone through a difficult time, but if you have that togetherness, you have that spirit, it'll create magical things. I've been here for nearly 6 years now, and I remember when we won the Conference League, in the season we finished 14th, so we was probably going through all season of doing really poorly in the Premier League, but we won a trophy, so it didn't really matter, and we knew that week in, week out, we had that spirit to just keep going as a group, and that kind of that brotherhood. So I think the whole changing room really respects the manager, which is an important thing.
With Graham Potter, where do you see his main strengths as a manager?
I think as a man manager, for one, I think the way he interacts with the group, the way that he explains things as the group. It's not just, I want you to run down there and cross the ball. In simple terms, there's always a reason, there's an explanation, there's the level of detail for people to understand, like, why this is why we're doing this. This is why I think we're doing this, because it will improve us as a team. So everything is, the manager's big on protecting the team, protecting that environment that we're trying to create. So for me, I think his man management, his interaction with players, obviously tactically as well. He's come from, I think, in Sweden where he first started, and then had some really good success over the years. And I know there's a lot to come for the manager, and I love working with him, day in, day out as well.
Yeah. There's quite a big milestone that you could hit this season.
Yeah.
You're 13 Premier League goals away from being the club's leading goal scorer in the Prem. Obviously, that's something that you knew about. You were saying there, you're like, I know about it already.
Yeah.
Is that in your head, or is it just try and obviously be the best you can be?
I want to be the best that I can be, but I know being the best that I can be comes with scoring goals. And I know scoring goals then goes towards records that I know is in touch and distance. So it's something that I didn't think I'd maybe get to this early, but now I'm can almost touch it. It's something that I scored 13 goals last year, so another season like that would be brilliant. But I think those individual records, I think there's an assist one as well, which I've got. So I think those individual milestones for yourself, when you get them, it's a really nice feeling, because for me, I started at Hereford in the conference. I never thought that I'd be sitting here talking about trying to get a Premier League record for the club that I'm playing for. So it's definitely something that's on my mind.
Playing more of a almost striker role now.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you feel seeing your fantasy football league? I mean, in the FPL leagues now you're listed as a striker.
A little bit fuming, because I'm a
Really?
striker and a little bit more expensive. Yeah, so it's I've been trying to balance a team where I've got the big boys up front, but then I'm looking at my team around. I've got like £4 or £5 million players, and I'm thinking, right, I need to get myself up. I thought I can't take myself out of my own team, so I had decisions to make. But I made the cut for myself, and I'm in a little league with some of my friends and stuff, and I always check their team to think, if they haven't got me, I'm asking them questions, and a couple of them don't have me, and I think, right, we're having questions when I see you.
I thought you'd be fuming at the fact they listed you as a striker.
Yeah, but where the way I play, I think it's like a striker, almost like a right winger. It's like that, almost that high in the middle kind of both. So it's difficult. It's just the price, I think. It's like I've always been like 7.5 million.
Stop scoring.
Yeah, I know. It comes with the territory.
Exactly.
I suppose.
This year is a really important year, I think, for a lot of players across the league. For their different nations, because it is a World Cup year.
Yeah.
How much of that is actually in the back of a player like yourself's head when you're going into a new season? You're thinking, okay, end of this season, there's a World Cup at stake.
Yeah, no, it's a massive achievement that you can potentially achieve at the end of the season. But I think getting picked for your country comes from what you do at club level. So I think for me, that's like the end goal. But I think for now, it's if I do well at club level, I know that potentially I could be on that plane for a World Cup squad. Went to a Euros a couple of years ago, which was an incredible experience to be there, to play there. And there's been one World Cup before where I probably didn't deal with it in the best way. Probably kind of tried to do too much and probably didn't focus on my game week in, week out as much, because you want something to happen so much that sometimes you just lose track of it. So I think for me, I feel like I'm in a better place, that I can just go out and just enjoy and play my football and do all I can that I know. And if I go, I go. If I don't, then I can say I had a good go at it.
What do you mean there? You say you almost did too much on the last World Cup.
Yeah, because that was in Qatar, and I think I was in the two camps before, but I don't think I was playing as well as I was at West Ham week in, week out. I wasn't. I just wasn't playing at a level that I know that I could, and I just think that
Were you almost psyching yourself out a little bit?
I was just wanting. When you want something to happen so much, you probably try too hard. So I was going out there probably trying too hard to impress, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you kind of go away from the game that you know that you can play and how well you can play. So I think for me, it's just not thinking too far ahead into the future. There's a lot of camps before the World Cup. There's a lot of football to be played until the World Cup. So I think for me is, get that Premier League record, then hopefully it takes me into a World Cup spot.
I like the focus on that Premier League record.
It's there, don't you worry.
There is also the small matter of your position. Obviously, with England, there's a lot of great players in that side. Is that also something that comes into play? As you're looking around, you know, in terms of wingers, I mean, there's a plethora of wingers that England have got.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself thinking, okay, do I want to look at more of that hybrid model of being a right winger that can also come in as a striker as well?
Yeah. Then you look at striker, you got, you know, Harry Kane, Ollie Watkins.
Yeah,
so
just
I think
Harry Kane and Ollie Watkins. Yeah.
I think England, you know, in terms of attacking positions, is, you know, in the strongest place I think it's been for a while. And you know, I've made my debut in 2021, maybe something like that. So I've always, you know, been in and around, but you know, you've got players like Bukayo, who's, you know, Phil, Cole, those sorts of players that, you know, are world-class players. So, you know, you're competing against them. And, you know, I think for me, it's just to being in that squad is one thing to get there, because I know how difficult it is to get there. So for me, of course, you're competing week in, week out against those players to try and get in the squad. And I think that comes from what you do week in, week out. You know, you have to show it on a consistent level. And I think, you know, since I've probably been up in West Ham, you know, I feel like I've been at a consistent level in terms of my performances and, you know, goals and assist returns. So I think for me, it's just doing what I know that I can do and then seeing where it takes me.
Yeah. Have you managed to speak to the manager at all?
The England manager?
Yeah.
Well, the first camp I think I was in, played a couple of games there, and then obviously the camp just gone in the summer.
Yeah.
You know, he called me up and said, you know, we're going to leave you out, which was, you know, I think when you feel like you're in a good place, to be left out obviously is disappointing, but it was one of those things where, you know, again, like we said about the result, you can't change something. I couldn't change, you know, I couldn't change the squad. All I could do was then have my off season, you know, just kind of switch off, forget about football and come back pre-season and get ready to start the season really strongly, and then, you know, give the manager a decision to make. And then, you know, if he leaves you out, then he leaves you out. You know, these things are never personal. It's, you know, the quality that you're up against and things like that. But I think for me, if I can do as much as I can to give him a headache, to, you know, make him think about his decisions, then of course that's what I want to do. I want to be in the squad, but, you know, sometimes if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be.
Yeah. Is that conversation that you have with him where it's almost like that last one where he said he's going to leave you out of the squad? Did he almost kind of leave it on a thing of, I want you to go out there and play your game and get back to your best?
Yeah, no, I think it was just more, this is the decision that we're going to make.
Right.
And I think, you know, I've had a couple of interactions with the manager in the camps and stuff, and I think, you know, we'd have spoken to other players in the group about me. I think, you know, one thing about me is I'll just get my head down and work. I think that's one of my biggest strengths, is that I'll graft, and, you know, if something's there, I'll work, you know, hard as anything for it. So yeah, I think when he told me that, I think there was about two games left in the season or something. And you know, I went out there, we beat Ipswich away, scored in that game. So, you know, it was never that trying to show that disappointment.
Yeah.
You know, I think I wanted to have the disappointment of not being in the squad and turn that into a positive with, you know, going out on the pitch and playing really well and, you know, scoring goal or getting an assist or something like that. So I think in my mindset, when something doesn't happen for you or you get that bad news, I think for me it's just trying to, okay, obviously I haven't done enough this time. It's down to me to work to hopefully next time I can, like I said, give him a headache for it.
Yeah, that's a great mentality to have.
I try and live 100%. By that as much as I can,
And I guess that's going to be the goal with West Ham.
Yeah.
Looking at this weekend, well, ahead to Friday.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a massive game. I mean, where do you want to see the team take their level to, I guess, in this match? You know, was there a collective thing of like everything needs to be better, or is it just like, you know, just need to have that belief a bit more?
I think it's a bit of everything. And like I said, I thought we'd done good things in the game, but we also done some things that weren't so great as well. But, you know, I think our advantage on Friday is we play at home, and, you know, we've had some brilliant derby games there. We've had some brilliant atmospheres created by the fans, but, you know, I think that atmosphere is created by what we do on the pitch as well. So I think there's a demand from the fans that, you know, it's a game against Chelsea. You've got to be up for it. You've got to get after them. You've got to make it as difficult as you can for them. You know, it's our home stadium. You don't want them to come and dictate, and, you know, it's down to us to make them feel uncomfortable. So I think for us, there's nothing. We're coming off the back of a game where we lost 3-0 in the first game, so there needs to be a reaction. I think that's the main thing. I think everyone knows that there needs to be a reaction. There needs to be, you know, we want to win the game. Ultimately, we want to win the game and give the fans a good moment. You know, you have that the first game of the weekend, so you know, you win that game and you can enjoy the weekend and just, you know, watch the football. So yeah, I think that would be our mindset going into the game.
Fantastic. Jarrod,
Top moment.
good luck, man.
Good to see you.
Good luck.